This is the PIXINSIGHT process tutorial for Russ Croman's BlurXTerminator. You can find it, once you bought it, on the process, deconvolution, and BlurXTerminator. So the BlurXTerminator came out today. And I'm a pretty big fan of Russ Croman's products, StarXterminator and NoiseXterminator. And when I saw this release, the first thing I did was I watched Adam Block's video about it, which is 1 hour and 10 minutes long. Now, if you really want to dive into the details, I think Adam does an absolutely fantastic job. On the other side, if you just want to have a first introduction or don't care that much about all the details, how it works, my 10 minutes might also do the job for you. Now let's first discuss what this tool is actually doing. It is actually a combination out of many things. In principle, they call it deconvolution. And remembering the easy deconvolution, I always had problems with it. I never really got how to use it. Sometimes I had afterwards black holes in my stars. It just messed up my stars, and I also didn't see a massive improvement, so at the end I stopped using it. So this actually does deconvolution. It also does sharpening of the stars, of the nebula, and it actually, through the sharpening, it even does kind of a star reduction, depending on how you use it. So time will tell, but I feel that this tool could actually eliminate some substantial steps within a workflow. You could do that. You do not have to do deconvolutioning anymore. If you did it, you might not have to do sharpening anymore, and you did not even might have to do star reduction anymore. So there might be a huge time saving, and what I've seen already, there might also be a big increase in quality. So if you're interested, there's a free trial, and I put the link in the description below. You can go to Russell Croman's website where you can download the trial. Now, that said, there's something that Adam Block is not mentioning, and I was actually shocked when I saw it. This product is $100. So this is half of PIXINSIGHT. You know, Russ's other solutions, which are absolutely great, like here the NoiseXterminator, they're $60, and I think that still it's expensive, but it's a fair price. But oh my God, $100, I can just say it really has to be extremely good that it's worth that much money. And that's now what we try to figure out. Is it that good that it's worth $100? So as stated, what I did, I downloaded the trial version. That was really easy. There's also a description if you don't know how to install it. You get immediately a trial license per email for 7 days. And when you start it up, the first thing you have to do, you have to go and select AI. You have to select the AI, and there's only one thing always active, so very easy, open, and that's done. And at the moment I have everything on default. So I just opened some pictures of mine, and the only thing I did was an automatic background extraction. Nothing else, because that's the recommendation, that you use it as early as possible in your process, definitely in the linear stage, that you don't mess around, you don't do noise reduction or anything. So from that point, to play it safe, I do it almost at the very beginning. Now, when we look at the tool, there's not too many things to change, but still we can actually, and I love that, we can adjust stuff here compared, for example, to the StarXterminator, where you don't have any influence at all what the tool is doing. Here you can actually adjust it. There's two sections. The first section is about the stars. The second section is about everything that's not stars, for example, the nebula. So before we actually start, let's make a clone out of it so that we can afterwards look at the difference. And for the first start, let's just throw it on there without changing anything, meaning we have a little bit of sharpening. We definitely have the correction of the shape of the stars. We do not have an adjustment of the star halos, and we have quite a substantial sharpening of the non-stellar objects. Okay, the tool is done. So let's now compare the two versions, and I think we can easily see quite a difference. But let's zoom in to look at it closer. It easily is visible, for example, here, where we have now here much the nicer stars. It's much better resolved. And I think quite an interesting region is here. Look at that these stars practically melted together. Here it looks at it as it is one. Here we see actually that it's two stars. Here they fully resolved these two stars. It's really a huge difference. And now let's go over here where, as always with my back focus problems, really my stars here are an absolute disaster, one egg after the other. And now look at that here. I mean, obviously it cannot correct everything, but look at this star here. Compared to that here, it's an amazing egg and it's round. The same down here. Or look at these two stars here. They're also egg-shaped and here they're just pinpoints. So I have to admit, looking at that really blows my mind. This is crazy stuff. So let's close this down. So we clone again. Let's go now a little bit more aggressive, just to see what happens. Let's say we go here full blown, 0.5 sharper stars. And we also adjust the halos. So let's move them also a little bit back. Let's throw it on there again. And yeah, that might obviously now be already a little bit extreme because we only have pinpoints now. And the question is, do you like that? Do you want that? And when we look now at the star cluster, we have here some artifacts which I think shouldn't be there. So that's probably happens when you're sharpening too much. You see, that's definitely not something you want to have. But also, given actually what we have seen before with just the default, that was actually good enough and probably a little bit more and it would be perfect. So let's go to the next picture. But my first impression here with the star cluster with the M2, simply amazing. So another example is here M16 with the pillars of creation, and let's just do the same. And I think here we can now see the effect on the nebula actually. We leave it again, we can go a little bit up with the sharpening, but we have seen now we shouldn't do that too much. Should be okay. Let's throw it on there and let's see. Okay, and again, even zoomed out, it is quite visible that it's sharper. And obviously, again, we do not even have to discuss the stars. It looks just amazing from the stars. But let's zoom now into the pillars of creation. That's now a 1:1 aspect ratio. And I think the result speaks for itself. Crazy. I'm really blown away. Look at that. This is really blurry, non-usable. And here, I mean, still, it cannot do miracles, but it's really cool, given that this is at the very, very beginning of the whole processing. So what we could get out of here and what we could get out of here, something very different. And then obviously, again, the stars. I mean, look at that here, the three stars which practically melt into each other. And here they're just nice, away from each other, regular stars. Here another nebula, M17. Let's also get the topic. Let's throw it on there. Again, I think already at the first glance we see absolutely different. And I think if you, for example, look at this here, the structure that is visible of the nebula, which is here completely inexistent, just blurred out. And then the other thing which I find interesting is here the upper left corner, because again, this is an absolute mess here. It's out of focus. The stars are obviously ill-shaped. Now, when we go over here, we see actually the level to which it can still rescue it, and that's a miracle. It's about to this border here of the nebula, so around here. And when we look at it, it's terrible. It's completely out of focus here, and it looks nice. It corrected it. So the extent it can go and rescue some absolute crappy data, which Russ is probably mad at me now already that I just already tried again with it. But while BlurXTerminator actually had issues with crap like this, and again, it's by design and that's okay. But here still, it's amazing. It can do that. And it gets out of real crap something very decent. So a few things for the end to mention. You see the options down here. I think this one is interesting. Correct only. If you only want to have round stars, but you don't want to have them sharpened, you can shut this off and it only rounds your stars like a classic deconvolution but doesn't do the sharpening, the star reduction. The other two, this would correct first because it sharpens. This does first the non-stellar part, then the stellar part. Yeah, okay. We'll have to see. It's a little bit the same with the SPCC. I think there's still a lot of things to be uncovered, especially from a use case point of view, and the full power of the tool will reveal itself. But I think looking at this first test now, it is really, I think it's what we all expected from SPCC. Let's put it like this. This is really wow. This is a huge visual change which wasn't possible in some cases at all, or in some cases only with a lot of work and a lot of processes, a lot of trial and error. And here it's simply the drag and drop of the triangle and it happens magically. So far my thoughts to this new tool. I'm interested what your opinions are, your results with it. Please leave it in the comment below, and let's see what the future brings and what we all can actually do with it, because I feel there's so much potential in here that we first have to really grasp it and unpack it. I hope this was useful, and see you next time, and clear skies.